In the Arctic region of our world, there is a land of snow and ice, along with darkness and light. It is a place where peculiar creatures have adapted to harsh conditions, defying the extreme cold of the Arctic winter. Life still thrives in the brief, cool summers, making this fragile ecosystem remarkable. Come here and explore the Arctic, one of the most remote and beautiful places on Earth. Due to the Earth's tilted axis, the Arctic receives abundant sunlight during the summer and very little during the winter. As spring transitions to summer, the days become longer and longer until there comes a day when the sun doesn't set at all. This phenomenon, when daylight extends throughout the night, is known as the midnight sun. It occurs during the days surrounding the summer solstice. As winter sets in, the days gradually become shorter until there comes a day when the sun doesn't rise, and darkness prevails for 24 hours. It is called the polar night. The polar night can be long, but there is a faint light within the darkness, and its name is the aurora borealis, also known as the northern lights. It is a light display in the night sky that can only be seen near the North Pole. Although they can appear at any time, they can only be seen at night because they are too faint to be visible under the sunlight. The northern lights have captivated humans for thousands of years. Some people used to believe they were dancing spirits in the sky, while others thought they were the fire of dragons. Nowadays, scientists know that the auroras are caused by charged particles from the sun interacting with the Earth's magnetosphere, stimulating gases in the atmosphere to emit light. Auroras also occur in the skies around the South Pole, where they are called the Southern Lights or the aurora australis. In any place on Earth far enough towards the north, there is at least one night where the sun doesn't set, and one day where the sun doesn't rise, considered to be within the Arctic Circle. The Arctic Circle is an imaginary line that encircles the Arctic region at approximately 66 degrees north. The Arctic mainly consists of ocean, but it also includes parts of Greenland, Canada, the United States, Finland, Sweden, and Iceland. The land areas within the southern reach of the Arctic Circle are typically covered by tundra, vast expanses largely devoid of trees. The summers in the Arctic Circle are cool, but there is another barrier beneath this thin layer of soil, the permafrost. The ground has permanently frozen below, preventing plant roots from penetrating deep. The predominant vegetation consists of grasses, mosses, and low-growing shrubs that can withstand the harsh conditions. Although it may seem frozen, the upper layer of the tundra in summer is quite wet as the thawed layer above acts as a barrier, preventing water from seeping into the ground through the permafrost layer. The temperature rarely exceeds 54 degrees Fahrenheit or 12 degrees Celsius, resulting in minimal evaporation. Instead, it forms lakes or wetlands on top of the permafrost, which will freeze over again once temperatures drop below freezing. Many bird species, especially waterfowl, migrate northward to these cool wetlands during the summer for breeding. Some species, such as the trumpeter swan or certain migratory birds, will fly from far-off wintering grounds in the distant southern regions like Mexico, with adults reaching weights of up to 30 pounds. It is the heaviest bird species native to North America. It is also the largest waterfowl in the world, with a wingspan that can exceed 3 meters. The wetland areas in the Arctic provide crucial habitats and refuge for trumpeter swans. When hunters decimated populations in Canada and northern parts of the United States in the early 20th century. By 1933, only a few dozen wild trumpeter swans could be found in this southern range, and there was concern that they would become extinct. However, another population of trumpeter swans was discovered in Alaska. They numbered in the thousands. Some of the Alaskan swans were translocated to ensure their survival as they had been excessively hunted. This provided hope for the population's recovery. Waterfowl are not the only animals that call the tundra their home. Various species, including salmon and Arctic char, migrate to the rivers and waterways there each year, attracting predators such as bears and eagles. Wolves and foxes also inhabit the area, along with muskoxen and caribou. Caribou are among the greatest migratory species on Earth. In the winter, they migrate southward to the snowy coniferous forests. They cannot survive too far from the snow zone as they need to dig deep into the snow to access lichens and the nutrient-rich ground below. In the spring, they migrate back north to take advantage of the vegetation growing on the tundra, where they also reproduce. Some North American species of caribou have the longest migrations among terrestrial animals worldwide, covering distances of up to 5,000 kilometers. These animals in the Arctic try to make the most of every advantage available to them. Some species have found ways to adapt by changing their appearance. In certain snowy and icy regions, having white fur can be highly beneficial. Some animals, like the snowshoe hare, maintain their white fur year-round. However, other species, such as the Arctic fox, have brown or gray fur in the summer and only turn white in the winter. Another color-changing bird is the ptarmigan, which is covered in brown and white mottled feathers during the summer. They begin to molt every time the days become shorter. Both males and females go through a winter plumage that is nearly pure white. Once snowfall begins, predators detect the white color, prompting them to revert to their mottled fur. The females regain their brown camouflage first when spring arrives, providing them with protection against predators during the nesting season. On the other hand, some animals maintain their white fur as a fashion statement to stand out and attract mates, as well as to demonstrate their intelligence and agility in evading Arctic predators. The ivory gull is another Arctic bird that employs a different camouflage strategy. The ivory gull is a seabird that only returns to land for nesting and breeding, typically on cliffs or rocky outcrops. They prefer breeding on islands where the risk of predation is much lower compared to mainland areas. The thick-billed murre spends months out at sea, and its coloration is highly beneficial in the open ocean. It has black feathers on its back and white feathers on its belly. This color pattern is called countershading, and it helps them blend into the dark seawater when viewed from above or the bright sky when viewed from below. Although they are capable of flying, thick-billed murres rarely take to the air and often move by propelling themselves using their webbed feet on the water's surface. They catch fish and move by underwater wing flapping, similar to the way penguins do. Rich feeding grounds in the northern oceans attract large marine animals such as whales. The humpback whale migrates northward in spring to feed on abundant krill and small fish found in the icy waters. While humpback whales often live solitary lives, they occasionally form small groups, especially when hunting. A group of humpback whales can employ a unique method called bubble net feeding to trap fish and prey. The whales will encircle a school of fish, and then other whales will begin blowing a bubble net to corral them. Once the fish are tightly packed together, the whales will rise up from below with their mouths wide open, capturing a large amount of fish in a single gulp. The baleen plates in their mouths allow them to filter out small organisms from the seawater. Humpback whales need to consume a large amount of food during the spring and summer months to build up their fat reserves for the colder weather. They will migrate to warmer tropical waters where they will not feed until spring. It is in these warmer waters that they mate and give birth. The newborn calves cannot survive in the near-freezing water temperatures near the Arctic. The adult whales must have a successful summer feeding season to ensure their survival after the annual migration. They venture further into areas where ice pockets never completely melt, such as the Arctic Ocean. Even here, there is still life. Instead of tundra, the Arctic Ocean has a few plant species mainly consisting of moss and algae. As a result, the food chains rely less on terrestrial vegetation and instead start in the sea. Seals live both on land and in the water or on ice floes. They sleep and rest on beaches or ice shelves. They prefer to live near shallow water sources. Seals do not have the ability to dive as deep as their relatives, the sea lions, but they can still dive to the seabed to find their preferred food sources such as plankton and clams. They may appear quite peculiar, but humpback whales are well adapted to their icy habitat. Their wrinkled skin can reach up to 4 inches thick, and the layer of blubber beneath their belly can be as thick as 6 inches. Both serve the same purpose of keeping the humpback whales insulated in the icy waters of the Arctic. Their thick skin and dense fur contribute to their colossal size. An adult male can weigh up to 900 kilograms, and some even exceed that weight. However, the most recognizable feature is their home. Both male and female humpback whales have a home. These homes are elongated plates that can grow up to 1 meter in length. Humpback whales use their homes as tools to latch onto ice floes and help propel themselves out of the water and onto the ice. They also use their homes to create air holes when the ice cover becomes too thick on the water surface. Ultimately, their homes provide some defense against hunting predators like killer whales and polar bears. Due to the harsh Arctic environment, polar bears rely more on meat than any other animal species. They primarily feed on seals, waiting at breathing holes in the ice until their prey pops its head out of the water. Then, polar bears will pull them onto the ice. Sometimes they also catch humpback whales, beluga whales, and their young using this method. But such prey can be challenging and exhausting to capture. Polar bears are the largest land predators in the world, but they are also adept swimmers. Sometimes they can swim for several consecutive days to move between hunting areas. Like humpback whales, polar bears are well adapted to the harsh environment they inhabit. Their thick white fur serves as camouflage as well as insulation, and an additional layer of blubber helps retain moisture. Their broad paws assist in weight distribution and allow them to walk on thin ice without breaking through. At the same time, their thick and strong claws help polar bears grip slippery prey as well as icy surfaces more effectively. The Arctic is a harsh and forbidding land. Yet, life continues to exist and thrive here. Plants and animals continue to evolve and adapt to the harsh environment. Many species depend on the cold and snow, and they would not survive if it disappeared. Because the Arctic climate does not welcome humans, most of this region remains untouched, with few human footprints. But we may be disturbing the delicate balance. Dependence on hunting, pollution, and the extraction of natural resources can cause changes and disrupt the web of life in the northernmost region of our planet.